Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Diggin It. I'm Eric Richey. We're so glad that you're with us. We've got plenty to get to this week, which is probably the biggest on the schedule for beach volleyball on the collegiate scene and on the junior scene. Our guest will be both from the Gulf Shores, Alabama area right now. We're going to talk to Shawn Weaver, who is the tournament director for Beachfest, the biggest juniors beach tournament of the season. Takes place the next 3 days in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Then we're going to go right back to Gulf Shores and join, as promised, Wayne Holley, of course, the former Tulane beach volleyball head coach. He is now the CEO, founder of Beach Prospects. He also does a wonderful job on the analytics side of that social media site as well, breaking down the NCAA championships. We're going to go over all those first round brackets, some of the surprises, some of the snubs. We'll go through all of that. Again, Wayne Holley joins us in a while as well from Gulf Shores. But we skipped a couple weeks, so we want to get back to what we were doing, starting the show with club volleyball and some of the local winners that took place over the past weekend. And we head all the way out to Reno, Nevada, and find the Cajun Elite 16's Wayland team. And back in August, they set the goal to qualify for the USAV Nationals in Chicago. They were third in two qualifiers this year, almost made it. Well, their last chance was this past weekend in Reno, and guess what? You're looking at a very happy team that won their bid to nationals. And there's Coach Wayland in the middle. You see him with the hat on. He's feeling a little better. Guess what? The 3-day event, he wasn't even around for Championship Sunday. Sarah Robichaux, three people to his right there in the picture. Coach Robichaux led the team on Sunday to the championship. So congratulations, Cajun Elite 16s, the Wayland team are headed to Chicago Nationals after a first place finish in the Liberty division. Also, Ignite, they go from Baton Rouge to Memphis. They weren't singing the blues, they were bashing people. That's right, Allison Didier Leaks, 17s right there. Unbelievable finish. They were just awesome all weekend in Memphis. They take first place. Jency Dowies, you see her right in the middle in the top row, had led this team in kills, was absolutely taking things over in the third set. She is a player, Parkview Baptist rising senior, that can take over a match. And Jency and company did a tremendous job in Memphis taking first place. But they weren't the only team from Ignite that took home gold. That's right. The 15s also coached by Terry Hawk LaRose. You see her off there to the right, all smiles. She was still buzzing and smiling from her friend's wedding. You remember from just a little while ago, Sandy Fusel's wedding, her daughter Morgan is a good friend of Terry's. Well, a couple of these girls I want to point out that played on the 15s Adidas last year that went all the way to a fifth place finish in nationals in the Premier Division. They played up last year, but they stayed at 15s this year. The girl at the bottom there holding the plaque, that's Kennedy Otwell. What an unbelievable defensive player she is. And then you see her in the top row, almost the second from the left there. That's Yana Times. She's kind of scrunched up a little bit, but she is unbelievable. And you're going to be hearing a lot about her. Both of those girls also go to Parkview Baptist, and can't say enough about Yana and Kennedy and the talent that they bring, as well as their teammates. Tremendous job there. Congratulations to 3 area winners on the club scene. So last week, if you remember, we heard from Bruce White, the local volleyball legend. He is, of course, the owner of White Sands, retiring at the end of this month. And we told you that he's got one kind of his last dance is a boys 18s team, Blue Crab, and they only have 2 tournaments left when we interviewed him last week. Well, one of those 2 tournaments was this past weekend, and they won. Shocking. Blue Crab 18 boys, the 26th annual Gulf Coast Region Championship. They take their 3rd first place of the season. And again, we heard from Coach Bruce White last week. This week, we want to hear from the players. And it's going to start with Joshua Lewandowski. And Joshua had a big week. There he is with Coach Bruce White to the left, his father Donald, who's the Brother Martin Beach coach, to the right. Well, Joshua, we're happy to say, and he told us during this interview, collegiately, he's signing to Stevens Institute of Technology, who just won, I think, like their 2nd national championship. Coach Bruce White has unbelievable admiration and accolades for this young man. So let's hear from the players, and I'm going to sneak in a little bit of Bruce White as well so he can talk about some of the players on the boys 18 Blue Crab team.
Hi, my name is Joshua Lewandowski. I'm a senior at Brother Martin, and I'm an outside for Blue Crab Volleyball. This team is a savior for me. I would have had to completely give up on Louisiana, had to move out.
Josh is straight as almost as a pencil. Literally his core and his feet are pointed as he's letting his body keep going up and up and up.
Coach Bruce really helped me out. He took over everything for me, organized everything.
There it is.
All their supporters are very thankful for them. They gave us enough funding to actually be here, stay local, and not give in.
Everything on this team starts off with Josh Lewandowski is as good of a high school volleyball player I have ever seen. Bye-bye. He's only 6'3", so that's why the big schools aren't looking at him. This young man is as good as anybody, and everybody in New Orleans knows of the best volleyball player out of New Orleans at the AVP level is Evan Corey out of all the guys. And I watched Evan all the way through his high school career. I think Josh is actually better than Evan was at that time. Now, let's see how he does in college and moves forward, but I'm expecting great things.
My play style is a lot of dedication, where I expect to lose most of the games that I play against better people, but every time I play against someone better than me, I could learn way more than I could beating anyone who was weaker than me.
Nice hit.
I could learn their play style, what they do differently than me, why I'm losing. So I could change stuff about me, and I could change stuff that I do against people to cause them to be worse.
Turn it! Woo!
My strength's my variability. So in beach, in doubles specifically, you have to have every single part of volleyball down. You have to be able to set, hit, pass, react. In indoor, that translates perfectly. A lot of the teams we play, they don't play beach. They don't have that scrappiness. They can't get to the balls that we do. The ball never drops for our team. I chose to go to Stevens Institute of Technology because they combine academics and athletics, and they provide a solid team structure that could get me through both sides equally.
What do you want people to know about this team and boys volleyball in general in Louisiana?
This team shows a lot of dedication. A lot of us are looked down upon for having men's volleyball as our sport, but if you come out to a game, you will see men's volleyball as one of the toughest sports possible. It's constant movement, constant skill in the air. You have to be able to see everything. The passers are always reading the blocker. As a sport, it deserves to be bigger in the Louisiana spectrum.
My name is Julian Andrews. I go to Archbishop Rummel High School. I'm a senior, and I play right side for the club team. Mostly, it's really because we know each other very well, and like our chemistry is just like, it's really good. Like we barely have to talk and communicate between whose ball is what, because we know who has the ball, who has the middles, and it's just things like that, just knowing your teammates and trusting one another on your team.
If you rotate your body into the air to hit cross court, that's generating power.
He's a great coach. He's coached college and many beach players. He's played against some of the best in the world at one point. Yeah, he's a great coach. He brought us to where we are now.
Hello, I'm Spencer Newton. I'm a junior, and I go to Kinder Discovery Health Sciences Academy, and I play setter for Blue Crab. I think of us as being very scrappy. Since we're such a new team, we haven't been together for very long, so you're not going to see all the crazy stuff you see with everybody else. Very basic, but we make plays happen, and we just get the ball over and we keep it rolling.
Take off behind the ball so you're attacking the ball out in front. I don't want you to hit the ball somewhere in that 900 square feet. I want you to hit 5 square feet of that court.
It's pretty crazy. It's good to see all his wisdom and knowledge getting passed down to us. He goes really hard on the serving.
Heel of your hand, elbow locked, you're balanced.
The passing, because that's the big thing with our team. We're the undersized teams, we're the underdogs in most cases. So our serves and our passes come from him. He loves us really mastering the float serve, which is always a big thing, and just trying to focus on everything we do and get better step by step.
Hi, I'm Mindy Lee. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I'm the physical therapist for the Blue Crab team, and I also have a business named Refresh Physical Therapy. I've known Bruce for a very long time. I play a lot of beach volleyball, so I know these kids from beach volleyball also. When I started my business, I also wanted to kind of be a presence here and help them out. If ever they have injuries, I'm here. I'm here to get them prepared for practice, for tournaments, for competition. I travel with them when I can. And I just known some of these kids too since they were younger. So it was just a way of helping out.
Our setters, both of them, but Matthew is unbelievable setter. He is magic with the volleyball. And I think they were from Minnesota to go, oh yeah, I understand now what you mean by, being a volleyball player and not just a blocker, not just a hitter. You got to do every part of it. Hey coach, can I ask you a question? I said, sure, what? And he goes, what do you feed your guys? All right, being from South Louisiana, they're thinking I'm going to come up with crawfish or something like that. I said, I feed my guys confidence. This is how a team of we got one guy over 6 foot, beats these guys that have Division I scouts looking at them all day long. This is what makes you better, and this is what makes me proud to say that I'm y'all's coach.
Well, it is probably, without doubt, the biggest week in beach volleyball of the year. And our first guest is right in the middle of it. We're going to go to Gulf Shores, Alabama, and bring in Shawn Weaver, who is the tournament director for the biggest juniors tournament that I know of on the planet. We're talking about Beachfest, and we're lucky to get Coach Shawn for just a few minutes here because, man, you are cranking busy right now. Probably the busiest guy on the planet you are in the upper echelon right now. Welcome to the show, and thanks for taking a little time out to take a breath and join us to talk about your awesome tournament.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Coach, what's it like for you right now as Beachfest, literally starts tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 3-day tournament. The day before, what's it like for you and all of the preparation that goes on to put this awesome tournament together?
Well, like you said, we're pretty busy right now. We were even yesterday trying to help out the college teams who can't practice yet on the NCAA courts. They are coming to our courts and doing practices. So we were setting up courts for them to be able to use, and they had volleyballs out there as well, and just make it easy for them. And then for our junior tournament, there's a lot of partner changes going on right now. The final courts got set up yesterday afternoon. And today we start building the schedule and letting teams check in.
That's awesome. Let's take it back a little bit and let's kind of go through your, find out about your volleyball background, because you've been coaching since 1999. So 24 years as a volleyball coach. And I know now as a member of the Gulf Coast Region USA Volleyball Association Board of Directors, you're making big decisions about the tournaments down there, not just the juniors tournaments, but again, the NCAAs are right there this week. Man, tell us how this whole volleyball thing started with you.
Well, I started way back in 1999. Like you said, it's been 24 years being a little middle school coach, and then getting involved with Gulf Coast Region and the club programs in our area. And then in 2004, I developed my own club, which is Pleasure Island Volleyball Club. And it just kind of skyrocketed from there. We're now, like I said, in our 20th year as Pleasure Island Volleyball Club. And we have about 30 teams in our program. And then with our beach program, we're around between 80 and 90 right now. So it's become a long ways in 24 years, and I'm very proud of it. And I'm just lucky to be able to do something I love to do every day.
Well, every time I see you at a tournament, you're two things. You're busy and you're smiling. You're always having an upbeat approach to things at the tent when those players are checking in and there's a lot of, questions and they're nervous, but you calm them down and you send them in the right direction. Let's talk a little bit about, like you said, Pleasure Island Volleyball, the indoor club. And I've been around and seen, the quality teams that you guys have put together and quality tournaments as well. Tell me about founding that club, and what's it been like, the progression to, what you built today?
We started with just two teams, actually, just some 12-year-old team and a 13-year-old team to kind of, give back to some of the kids in our area where they didn't have to travel, an hour away to play club volleyball and get prepared for their school seasons. And so after a few years of just doing a couple of teams, it kind of developed more after that, and more schools in our area wanted to kind of join forces and come to Pleasure Island Volleyball. About 5 years ago, I kind of co-partnered with Mobile Storm, and now we're Pleasure Island Storm. And that kind of helped a lot. We have a lot of the same philosophies. We want to give opportunity to kids who are just, focus on more of just getting better for their school season. And then we also have the type of teams and players that may want to play at the next level. And so we are able to do the same thing. So my goal to make Pleasure Island Storm volleyball better was to go out there and get some quality coaches, but even keep them training and working together and having some of the best coaches for these players.
And then the Gulf Coast region, how did you get involved with that, becoming on the board on that? And, really the fantastic job that you guys do to host these tournaments, right? You're planning, months, sometimes years in advance to get some of these major tournaments involved. Tell me about how your association, with USA Volleyball and kind of, what you want people to know about, some of the work that you've done and some of the tournaments and things that are coming up as well.
Yeah. I started with the Gulf Coast region. I can't even remember now. It's probably been at least 16, 17 years. And like you said, we started way back then with just a couple of small things that we were doing. And I think that what really helped us is in 2012 is when the AVCA said, we have a college championships and we need a place to host it. And we said, we'll do it. And so we immediately got together and said, okay, what is our budget? What do we need to do? What do we need to make these teams comfortable as they come here? We got with our local sports commission as well. And we just started planning. And then that first year, a lot of people don't realize is the Gulf Coast region funded everything. We said, okay, we looked at our budget. We're going to make this happen because I think this is something that for our junior audience could really benefit from. And so I think that was our first big event. And it's just kind of from there, everybody has jumped on board. They were part of that, have stayed on board actually. And, each year we want to make this thing bigger and better. And we're always open to advice and thoughts and comments. And I think that's what's helped us keep our event growing so big.
I'm going to jump ahead here on my director, Justin Thomas, since we're talking about, the inaugural NCAA Beach Championship that you guys hosted. And each year it has gotten bigger and bigger and more excitement, obviously simultaneous with the Juniors Beachfest. But tell me about, what it's grown to, because when you walk by those courts, right, and if you're not familiar with, in Gulf Shores, Alabama, everyone knows where Hangout Fest is, literally right on the beach side of Hangout Fest. You have the courts, you have ESPN's jib cameras all over. Justin, show a picture of what we're talking about here from last year's LSU-UCLA match and the pride that your association must take for hosting this awesome event.
Yeah, after those first, a lot of people, as far as the history, the AVCA provided the championships and was the host with the Gulf Coast region in the city of Gulf Shores those first 3 years. And then, as you know, beach volleyball then became the fastest emerging sport ever in NCAA history. And they made it to their 40 teams in the 2 years easily, and it skyrocketed to where we're 90 plus teams now. So with the NCAA jumping on board with that, and ESPN saw a great opportunity as well. And that's one thing that's, like you said, it went from us having flip scoreboards to digital scoreboards to a monster scoreboard. I mean, they ramp it up every year to make this one of the exciting events held on ESPN, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, mine too. And I've been fortunate enough to, after the juniors tournament's over, walk over and just watch some of the best college players in the country that are now some of the best, literally professional players. You think of the alumni that have come through there and the Kristen Nuss, Taryn Cloth era and, what they're doing on the AVP tour now. And that's just some of them, like Kelly Chang and, at USC. So let's bring it back now. Let's talk about Beachfest this weekend. We've got a little video as well, just from some players from 2022 playing. But if you can, tell us how many teams, what are the ages, and what are these next 3 days like as far as the competition? I know it is fierce.
Yes, I mean, it's getting harder to see this tournament when you have some of the top players in the nation are in this tournament. Beachfest, has really developed more to where we can host now the open division full matches on Friday and Saturday. And that was something that we wanted to give back to those players who, are competing to that high level. And so we do start on Friday with the open division. And then we also want to give those other players who just love beach and they're maybe not that high skilled yet, but are wanting to get there. And so we have the USA division as well. The USA division starts Saturday afternoon, and then all 440 teams, when you combine both open and USA, will compete into the brackets on Sunday.
440 teams. And Shawn, I remember from just my daughter Emma playing the last 2 years. I mean, they're coming from all over the country. This isn't just a Gulf Coast event. I mean, they're Minnesota, the Northwest, and Midwest, all over.
Yes.
Where do you get a lot of your teams coming in from?
A lot of our teams obviously are still coming from some neighboring states, but we're still getting teams that a whole club out of Washington State will be traveling here. We have a whole club out of Colorado. They're bringing 10 teams. We're receiving teams out of Minnesota, New York. I mean, they really are coming from all over. I've finally I have learned a little bit more about the international rules of getting players into our tournaments, because we do have a team coming from Puerto Rico, and we have a couple of players coming out of Canada.
That is outstanding. And it just makes for such a wonderful experience for these players. Again, you can pick a USA division, you can pick open division. You're going to have comparable competition, but you're meeting players from all over the country. And that is what I really, really love about the tournament is the players get to meet other players. It's friendly competition until Sunday, of course, when it gets down to the final brackets. But then those players, they get to walk over, depending on what time they're playing, and they get to go watch the NCAAs. And I know something that you've done this year to encourage that.
I really have, because, some obviously they want to come here and compete. But one thing that's unique about Beachfest is because we do have the NCAA going on next door, and it is a wonderful experience for these youth players. So what we've always been able to do is provide wristbands for them to go and it's a 3-day pass to go into the NCAA and watch during while they're here competing. And so creating a schedule where they have the opportunity to play and still walk over into and watch the college players has been important for us and for our tournament. So I've really kind of more put out there, look, this is our schedule, and this is why our schedule is to give those opportunities, and having it, even going to a 3-day format for some of the open division, that gives them still some more full match play, but they also now get to experience all 3 days of the NCAA.
Yeah, no doubt. We're so excited. And obviously we're headed over there tomorrow. We're just thrilled to be a part of it once again. I guess if you can, tell us about some of the other events and some of the other things that are coming up. And now look, again, full disclosure, I was the Fox 10 sports guy, from 04 to 07, working with John Ed and Bob Cripp and all those talented news anchors and weather guys. I know Gulf Shores, Foley, Orange Beach, etc. Just a wonderful, wonderful area. And you guys have capitalized and utilized it so well to host these tournaments. People love coming to your tournament, Shawn.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And we really couldn't do what we do if it wasn't for the City of Gulf Shores. City of Gulf Shores really supports our event. They provide a lot of good city services that we need. Obviously, the beach and even when they kind of remodeled or restored a lot of the boardwalk and stuff about 5 years ago, has really helped our beach events, and especially the way the setup is. We have a pretty wide beach, so we can go 5 courts wide in some locations, and then with the boardwalk, making it easy for the parents and players to get to the beach, creates a great tournament and setup for us. But I don't think we could first do it without them. And like you said, a lot of planning goes involved. So we take pride in that and start planning immediately after this event's over and taking in information for next year.
that leads to my closing question, I guess, for all the coaching that you do and, have your own club, the tournament director for this and, planning, future tournaments. When it boils down to it, what is the thing that you take most pride in as your coordination, to put on these tournaments, to coach these players? I know you're an elite coach as well. You coach elite players, and there's so many things and so many different hats that Shawn Weaver wears. What do you take the most pride in at the end of the day and looking back like, wow, I can give myself a pat on the back for that?
Just giving these kids opportunity to compete at the highest level possible. Right now we have a P14 40 event going on this afternoon, and I'm doing everything I can to get our players an opportunity to participate in that. When it comes to the National Training Developmental Program, we've been able to evaluate and recommend some players for that, and they're going to be doing that tomorrow morning. Competing on my elite teams, going to AAUs, traveling. Again, it goes back to giving these kids opportunities that they can excel in. And I think I take more pride in that, creating those opportunities for them and just giving them something that they can reflect back on and appreciate. And, hopefully if it helps them get to the next level, if not, these families go back home with memories that they'll keep forever.
No, that's exactly it, because we have already, and we plan to have more memories in the future. Shawn Weaver, the tournament director of the Juniors Beachfest National Qualifier, May 5th through May 7th, Gulf Shores, Alabama. Thanks so much. Best of luck for these next 3 days. And it's always eventful. It's always memorable. And can't wait to see you again and give you a high five, my friend.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. And, anybody watching, please come on down. It's free to come watch the junior event and experience everything that we're going to be doing. You're going to see some high level volleyball, even we have a boys division even. So you don't want to miss out on everything that we're doing.
Well, we appreciate it. And we encourage all of the people that are associated with VSN or watching the podcast to get over to Gulf Shores, because it is such a buzz for those 3 days. You can just feel it in the air. It's so much fun. Thanks again, Shawn. And we'll see you. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Take care. See you then.
All right, take care. That's Shawn Weaver again, not only the tournament director of this wonderful Beachfest tournament, but also the founder of Pleasure Island Volleyball, a coach since 1999. Hey, it's time for our first break here on Diggin' It, presented by Bayou Marble and Granite. We want to make sure that we talk about those guys, because without them, this show would not be possible. When we return, we're going to be joined by Wayne Hawley, former Tulane coach, and now, of course, the CEO and founder of Beach Prospects. He's going to help us break down that NCAA Beach Championship tournament that's also taking place in Gulf Shores this weekend. Don't go anywhere. Diggin' It continues after this.
Since 2000, Bayou Granite has grown to be Southeast Louisiana's largest fabricator of stone countertops. From precise laser measurements to state-of-the-art water jet and CNC machines, we can handle your kitchen and bath needs as well as any commercial projects. Let our expert staff design and customize the right material for your home or business. Stop by our new state-of-the-art fabrication facility and showroom today at 9622 East Main Street, or call us at 985-637-4911. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
The Sports Pub and Grill in Destrehan has it all. A great place to watch the game, daily drink specials, and you won't believe the food. From our fresh 10-ounce burgers, fully loaded baked potatoes, and great salads too, like taco salad and grilled chicken. Need something to rinse it down with? How about one of our refreshing daiquiris? A great atmosphere for the whole family. Just a few miles west of the airport. The Sports Pub and Grill, 3001 Ormond Boulevard in Destrehan. Welcome back to Diggin' It with Eric Richey, segment 2 and more beach volleyball. We talked a little bit about the juniors tournament taking place at Beachfest this week in Gulf Shores, but there's also this other tournament that's been taking place there for, I believe now, the 7th year of the NCAA Beach Volleyball Championships. We had our next guest on last week to break down the Conference Beach Tournament Championships. Well, guess what? We said on the air last week that we wanted him back to break down the NCAA National Tournament, and here he is. As promised, we go to Gulf Shores, Alabama. Wayne Hawley joins us, the CEO and founder of Beach Prospects. Coach Wayne, welcome back to the program. My goodness, what a week of volleyball that we had behind us and a huge week in front of us.
Yeah, it's been super fun. So, it was awesome to have the conversation last weekend, and the conference tournaments were not yet, fully done. And now we got to see a good week of awesome results. And we're down here in Gulf Shores and getting to see the teams practice and, seeing them put the final touches on their teams and get ready and kind of try to manage those nerves. And it should be really cool. And, as you know, the opening round was yesterday, right? You had that opening round between UT Martin and Corpus Christi, and they battled it out for the right to face UCLA. So we even got to see that kick off yesterday afternoon.
That was great. Before we get looking ahead, let's take a look back and some of the things that we talked about last week, the conference tournaments. You are close to that Fort Lauderdale area, so you just went over and checked out some awesome Conference USA action where, of course, it boiled down to those top two seeds. Like you said, FAU beating FIU. I guess your impressions, first of all, of the Conference USA tournament, where obviously Tulane was a team that we talked about quite a bit in that tournament as well, and UAB.
Yeah, that was a really exciting tournament. I was really lucky that I got a chance to go and see the teams live again. We spent a lot of time looking at numbers, but it's always good to see the teams play and, just to see what it looks like, really see the people play as opposed to just looking at numbers. And it was really super exciting. It was an awesome environment down in Fort Lauderdale, deep sand and lots of wind and typical South Florida weather, even got 2 rain delays or lightning delays, right? So the players got a chance to play great competition, play for a title, play in deep sand, take a break, come back from a lightning delay. And, as usual, the players handled it really well. But, a couple of big surprises in that tournament, starting with, UAB in the earlier rounds, knocking off FIU. That was, a huge upset, so congratulations to UAB. That's a team that, I don't know that we spent a lot of time chatting about them last time we got a chance to talk, but UAB is always a dangerous team. You don't want to face them in a tournament because you never know when they're going to pull it together. And they got a great upset against FIU. And I think that probably surprised FIU, as it did a lot of people. And probably the only people that weren't surprised is the folks around UAB, because that was a really, really big upset. And that made FIU go down into the losers bracket and play a couple of other matches. But they did just that, right? And they battled their way back and got, as you said, to the final and got to play the favorite FAU in that tournament, ultimately in the final. An interesting note, because FIU came through the losers bracket and during a coaches meeting that they had prior to the event, they all agreed that whoever came out of that contenders bracket would have to play the old classic double final. So had FIU defeated FAU in the first, go around in the final, FIU would have had to then beat FAU a second time because they
I did not know that.
Would have had one loss. So it's really hard. It would have been really hard to do that, and ultimately didn't come to that.
Yeah, and look, and just going back to what you said about UAB and Terry Del Conte's program, they did a tremendous job in Huntsville last year in the tournament for the first time in that program's history, winning 2 matches in conference tournament play. I know they have a freshman from the New Orleans area on net 5, Olivia Stant, who I think is going to be a standout player by the time her career is over. And it's just starting. I know she had some big wins on net 5 with her partner as well. But FIU snuck into the finals a year ago and now snuck into the finals again. And I guess let's just segue into a thing that's near and dear to your heart, the teams that are just on the outside of what people are talking about and the national top 20 poll. Who do you think, I guess snubbed, maybe a hard word, but FIU sneaks in with an at-large bid to nationals. Who did they beat out, maybe the last couple teams that were on the bubble for an at-large?
Yeah, it was a close one, and I suppose I'm glad I wasn't on the committee, working through the laborious task of trying to figure that one out. But I think that the last 4 teams, being looked at were in that situation were FIU, of course, Washington, and Pepperdine and Tulane. I really think that those were the last 4 teams that everyone was looking at. And as you said, they selected FIU. Nobody really surely knows why, right? Of course, but that's kind of part of the process. But it was very close. if there was some head-to-head battles there, and there was some strength of schedule issues, and then I suppose there was some common opponent issues, and it was really a great battle. I think that Pepperdine didn't have a excuse me, a head-to-head edge over any of the other three teams. Tulane, importantly, had a head-to-head edge over Washington, which we thought might have snuck in, but the committee didn't see fit to put Tulane in, of course. And then Washington, we thought, had the strongest resume for consideration, but we acknowledged it was super tight, right? Like Washington had the head-to-head. Washington played FIU earlier in the year and beat them. But certainly the committee looked to other factors and came out on the other side and gave that edge to FIU. So I think the FIU team and the Washington team were both expecting to get in, and unfortunately only one of them got in. So this year it happened to be FIU, but what an unbelievable year for Washington. It's a super year, and look to them to be in this field next year and for many years to come, I think.
Let's talk about some of the teams that we talked about on this very show last week. Southern Miss, a team that went into that Sun Belt Conference not very highly regarded, had not been on a win streak, but suddenly they win 3 matches in one day, and suddenly they're like eye-opening team of that Huntsville, John Hunt Park facility. Everyone's like, oh my God, Sean Kelly's doing an interview with ESPN Plus again. He did 3 interviews in one day.
Yeah. Awesome job by, Southern Miss, maybe a little bit of a surprise again, but probably for everyone except folks in the Southern Miss program. But yeah, a 3-2 win over Mercer, a 3-2 win over ULM, 2 couple close battles, and then College of Charleston, which is really a very, very nice team. First year Beach head coach, Damian Elder running the program there. He is a first year head coach for Beach with College of Charleston, but not new to the game. He very long ago was the head coach at Mercer, actually. So Damian Elder back in the Beach game and getting College of Charleston off to a really good year, and Southern Miss was able to escape them 3-2 as well. So as you said, 3 great 3-2 wins to make a run to the semis against Coastal Carolina, who of course had an awesome year, was in the national rankings, had some great wins. They beat UW, as we talked about last year, and in week 2, who was nationally ranked. Coastal beat Cal Poly in week 2 as they were nationally ranked. So Coastal had a great year, and Coastal Carolina kind of ended that great magical run for Southern Miss by getting them pretty good, 5-0 in the semis to get to the final, of course.
Props to our Louisiana girls for the Golden Eagles as well. Taylor Pierce fought through injury on net 2 for a couple of big wins. And then, of course, on net 5, I thought a brilliant move. Kelly Garraway from SSA, she was playing on the ones last year, with Favre on the ones. And Coach Kelly put her with Madison Cassidy. I thought it was an excellent match on 5, and Madison's got just that raw power, and Kelly's got that experience. I thought they made a great team. And then, of course, Morgan Perry on net 4. So Louisiana girls doing well. Thumbs up to them. But I know, you cover all these conference tournaments. And before I get to the NCAAs, and Justin's back he's ready to push the button for the national brackets. But I want to ask you one more time, and I'll give you an open mic, because I know there's teams that you want to give props to for what they did last week in conference tournament action. Is there any other surprises that stood out to you that you'd like to give props to?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that Long Beach did a really good job in kind of winning the AQ, of course. They were, they had a tough battle against Hawaii out in the Big West, right? And Long Beach had lost to Hawaii 3 straight times all year. And so somehow managed to come back and get the all-important win, when it mattered most in the conference. So Long Beach doing a phenomenal job to get the AQ out there in the Big West. Long Beach would have been one of those bubble teams, right, either first or second at the top of the bubble had they not won. So, they took the best route and probably the hardest route in beating Hawaii, going and a great job to get that one. That was really awesome. I thought Florida Atlantic, I got to give them credit. When I got to see them play live, luckily they're in my town, so I get to see them. But they looked really, really good. I mean, they were a juggernaut. I think they lost 1 set in the entire Conference USA Championship tournament. I think they only dropped 1 set that whole time running through the final. beating out FIU in that final, 3-0. I mean, they looked super, super, efficient in that match. Stetson, of course, I mean, for them to get by both UNF and FGCU was outstanding. You just can never count out Stetson. They seem to own the ASUN. So yeah, there was some really great performances by a lot of good teams in the conferences, and you gotta love that there's so many conferences now. I think the conference play and the AQs adds so much extra spice to the conference tournaments now. It's super exciting to watch these things now. And I can't wait to see some of these teams get after it out here in Gulf Shores now for the national title. It's going to be super, super cool.
Awesome. With that said, let's do it. Let's just bring out the bracket that was revealed on ncaa.com on Sunday. We start up top, and I know you guys at home with your computers, you can zoom in with you, and you have the brackets in front of you. But this is just for talking points for Coach Wayne and myself. We start with number 1, UCLA, obviously one of 3 teams to make 7 straight trips now to the Nationals. They're taking on the 17th seed Corpus Christi, A&M Corpus Christi, who you said beat UT Martin in that kind of play-in game. They're the conference or the Southland Conference champs. UCLA, tell me about this first round matchup that takes place in day 1.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a big surprise. I mean, Corpus had a great year, of course, and they're a very good team, making their second return to the NCAA tournament, and 2-time Southland champion, undefeated in the Southland. They got through Martin pretty good yesterday. If you look at the scores, they really took it to Martin. But I obviously we see UCLA in this one, and it'll be the upset of all upsets in the history of organized sport. I think if Corpus Christi pulls it off, and who can't root for them in that, right? There isn't a fan out there that wouldn't go crazy to see that, I suppose, unless you're wearing a UCLA T-shirt. But this we see pretty easily as UCLA advancing past Corpus Christi to face either Cal or Long Beach.
The 2-time national champs Bruins, Wayne says, put them into the second round against, as you said, 8-seeded Cal taking on 9th-seeded Long Beach State. Cal making their first trip, right, to the Pac-12 championship. They made it. And then for Long Beach State, a first for them, too, the first time they won the Big West championships. Tell us about this matchup of these two teams that Long Beach won head-to-head 3-2 back in March.
Yeah, that's right. March 6th, Cal did get the edge over Long Beach. So lots of firsts for both of these teams. Certainly Cal's best season ever. Long Beach's best season in a number of years. So this one should be a really good battle, classic close matchup between the two. We're giving an edge to Cal. But wouldn't it all be surprised if, of course, it went the other way? But I feel strongly that Cal's had a great year. They've had a lot of really great wins. And I think this is the best Cal team that I've ever seen in the last 9 years. So slight edge to Cal in this one over Long Beach, we think.
Okay, well, let's move down and go to LSU, the 5th seed, taking on number 12 FAU, who we talked about, the Conference USA champs, who in the Nationals last year, if you remember, right, they upset Stanford, a shocker in the first round. LSU has been in the top 5 all season. They're making their 6th out of 7 appearances in the NCAAs. But one of the things that I found on Beach Prospects, the analytics, the breakdown that you did, was you had their record. LSU's only 6-12 against the tournament field. That kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, it did, and I think it's more a statement about how strong this field is, right, as opposed to any real weakness in the LSU team. But certainly there's a lot of teams in this field with much better records, against the field. And it also is a little bit of like, hey, which of these 16, 17 teams did they play, right? So, but yeah, that one stood out to us when we were doing it. LSU, like you said, a really great team. 6 times here, to the tournament now, top 5 all year. Just to chalk up another 25+ win team for LSU, and they've really elevated that program into a national powerhouse. And I think we said they've been in every NCAA tournament since 2017, and a 3rd place finish in 2019. A lot of people, including myself, thought that this wouldn't be such a great year for LSU. They had so much turnover. They had some transfers, graduate student transfers, and they graduated some really super great people. But this should be an outstanding matchup. we gave the edge to LSU just because in my heart, I wanted to pick the upset with FAU because we have all the respect in the world for them, right? But I just can't get my head to pick the higher seed in this one. So it's an amazing fight between my head and my heart on this one. I think LSU will win this, but wouldn't at all be surprised to see FAU do it. They're second, like I said, they're making a second appearance here, and they did knock off Stanford last year on the way to a 7th place finish, but you just absolutely never know in this first round. 6-12 against the field for LSU, 5-11 for FAU. So, at least some of the numbers suggest that this is going to be an incredibly tight battle. I'm super looking forward to this one.
Well, we certainly wish the best for both teams. LSU, of course, fond here at VSN. VSN was the home of LSU beach volleyball live streaming a year ago. And Kylie DeBerg, another transfer from the Midwest, has just played phenomenal volleyball. She has AVP pro career written all over her. We showed a couple pictures of her earlier in the show, Wayne, when we were talking about the awesome opportunity for the juniors players at Beachfest to go over and meet those collegiate players, and many of which that are there. They're striving, to become college beach volleyball players, and to see the best of the best is such a wonderful opportunity. So good luck, Kylie LeBerg, Coach Brock, and LSU. All right, let's go down to Florida State, the 4th seed against 13 seed FIU, who we've talked about, snagged that last at-large bid. Florida State, right? They're a staple in this. They've been here every year that they've had it, all 7 years, but they've never won it. They're unlike USC and UCLA, who've also been here every year. They've finished runner-up 3 times in 7 years, including last year. They were the runner-up. How do you see Florida State, FIU, and how far do you think, if you pick Florida State, how far do you think they can go?
Yeah, we do have Florida State in this. Again, it's just Florida State is, everybody knows they're a great program, but you said it. I mean, 3 runner-up finishes at this tournament. They are an unbelievable powerhouse, the original beasts of the East, right? Before the rise of LSU. And, what Brooke Niles has done with the program is just nothing short of extraordinary. You never count this team out. They are always right there in this tournament. A 2nd place finish again last year, 30 wins already, this year. We talked about records against the field, 15-8, almost a 650 winning percentage against this tournament field. So we did see the Seminoles getting past, FIU in this one. I actually think that the Seminoles will go all the way to deep in their particular bracket. And I think that they'll win 2 or 3 rounds in this tournament and be playing in the semifinal. So
okay, and we're going to get to your pick overall. We're going to get to your pick overall in just a minute. Let's just quickly go through the rest of the field. Number 3, USC. Again, you're talking about just an unbelievable team as well. Number 14, Georgia State. You served time as an assistant at Georgia State under Beth Van Fleet. They changed conference, but it's the same old, right? They win a conference championship last year. They go to the Sun Belt after Conference USA. They win again a conference championship to grab the AQ. Man, Georgia State, great team. Lila Bordes, a transfer from Arizona State, gets the newcomer of the year in the conference. They're a loaded team. So, man, you talk about maybe the best first-round matchup. That's the one I got my eye on.
Yeah, Georgia State taking on USC, right? I mean, it's what I learned, again, for many years playing against Georgia State teams, led by Beth Van Fleet. And then when I got over there and got to, see the team from the inside and work with them for a little bit, this is a team you cannot count out. I mean, Georgia State has a unique ability to adapt to any given situation. Look at their ones team with the outstanding Ferrari sisters, right? A lot of teams would say they don't even have a blocker. And they can do a little soft blocking and things from time to time. But you look at the way that they find creative ways to win and adapt to whatever situation is put in front of them. It is incredibly remarkable what they do with who they have. And they are an incredibly gritty program that no one wants to play. And I don't care if you're UCLA, USC, or TCU. You do not want to play Georgia State in this tournament. they did what they do best last year in ripping their way through a field and getting all the way deep into the tournament, and I really think they have a possibility to do this again. Again, I picked USC in this, but boy, my heart kind of wants to see Georgia State go ahead and knock them off, and it'll be more challenging too, right? This year it's a single elimination tournament, right? So. Last year you were able to battle through a contenders bracket, but and do that. So it's going to be harder for a Cinderella story this year because you don't have the chance to come through the contenders bracket this year. But we have USC in this one over Georgia State, and I kind of hope I'm wrong.
Do or die, one and done. You call it what you want, but it's going to be a fun first round with that single elimination. Let's move to 11th seed Hawaii taking on 6th seed Loyola Marymount. Wayne, what say you, my friend?
Yeah, this will be another unbelievably close matchup. The seeds, don't necessarily reflect what, you think the teams where, for example, the teams would be, how closely they'd be ranked in, say, the coaches poll, right? So this is a really tough battle. Interesting, we looked at how each of these teams wins across their flights, right? So some programs are built to win at the top. They try to get their 3 points in duels at the top. Maybe they're a strong top team. They try to go 1, 2, 3. Other teams are built differently and they win duels, 4, 5, and 6. And so this is an interesting one because, Hawaii typically wins, all season long. And of course, this includes a variety of lineups, but Hawaii typically wins at the 1, right? That's their best flight. They win about 86% of the time at the 1. And LMU is just the opposite, right? Their favorite, their winningest flight is at the bottom, 1-5. So it's fun to think, gee, if those things hold, there's a split, and then someone's going to have to battle it out, 2 through 4 to get those extra points. So that should be a fun one to see, between the two teams. We picked, LMU in this one, 28 wins all year, and but it's going to be an extraordinary battle against Hawaii. I think that Hawaii is probably coming to this field with a little bit to prove. I think that they probably, when they didn't win, the conference tournament, I think that probably left a little competitive bad taste in their mouth, and maybe they're showing up to Gulf Shores with something to prove, to say, hey, look, we're a better team than what we showed in the conference tournament. We don't like how that left us feeling, and it would be fun to see them come out with a little bit of an edge and say, we're going to take this. So it should be a cool one. Really, really fun one to watch.
Yes, hey, no doubt. And you talk about a team as we go to the next bracket, Stanford, the 10 seed, also coming in with something to prove as well, maybe. And number 7, Grand Canyon, who you talked so glowingly about last week, and for good reason, as we see now, Grand Canyon, a 7 seed, taking on Stanford. How do you see this one?
Yeah, this would be, of course, another good one. Stanford beat them, and the only time they played this year, Stanford was able to get past Grand Canyon 4-1, which I still remember when I saw that score come up. I was very surprised at that, proving once again that you never really know what's going to happen. And what's interesting too is, we look at prior matchups, and it's fun to do, of course, and it might be informative, but a lot of these, we should mention that a lot of these lineups change, right? So a lot of the lineups that we'll see this weekend in Gulf Shores might have been different lineups than when we saw these teams play against each other earlier. So, prior matchups is good to see, and it's informative, but I don't want to put a whole lot of stock in that because, of course, people could be in and out of the lineup. Well, more importantly, pairs could be split up in different places. So we'll likely see very different matchups pair to pair in the Stanford Grand Canyon matchup than we did last time around. I mean, we picked Grand Canyon for this one. I think that they've just it's tough to say a top 7 team in the poll has been underrated, but I almost want to say they've been a little underrated this year in the tournament. And again, they're coming back to Gulf Shores with a little bit of a little bit of bad taste in their mouth, a little bit of edge, a little bit of motivation. They were an excellent team last year and got knocked out in that opening single elimination match to Georgia State 3-2 and went home early. So I have no doubt that Coach Rohr is ensuring that the team remembers that and provides that a little bit of motivation for them to make sure they get past this first round. So a little bit of an edge to Grand Canyon in this one against an exceptional Stanford team.
And our final pairing on the very bottom of the bracket, now 7-time ASUN champ Stetson will be taking on the number 2 seed TCU, who has won more volleyball than anybody on the planet the last 2 years. But last year they didn't get a CCSA tournament championship, but this year they did. And now they are coming in here red hot, as hot as any team in the country, 35-1, Wayne. Oh my gosh. Can anybody stop TCU?
I think the only people who can stop TCU is TCU, and they are, as you said, an unbelievable juggernaut. Beat everybody, as you said. I can't say it any better in the planet and the universe. Right, the last 2 years they've been unbelievably great. Only UCLA has seemed to have gotten their number, and even that was a super close one. I see TCU getting past Stetson, but remember Stetson had that great win last year in this tournament with a huge upset. The two teams did play earlier, March 31st, a little while ago, 5 weeks ago. TCU defeated Stetson 5-0 at the time, and we've got TCU getting past Stetson once again in this one to advance. So should be a good one, though. I don't look at Stetson to go down very easy in this thing. They never ever do.
All right. So we said earlier, you said Florida State at least advancing to the semifinals. Now it's time, basically, who do you think is the Final Four, and who do you think steps away with the championship this year?
Yeah, it's I think in that top part of that bracket, I look for UCLA and FSU to be in the semis. It should be, they played again before. UCLA defeated Florida State in St. Patrick's Day in March, 3-2. That's who we have in that top semifinal with UCLA, advancing over FSU to get to the finals. And then in the bottom part of that bracket, I have USC and TCU, the top 2 seeds, getting all the way to the semis. We have TCU getting past USC. They did earlier in the year 4-1, coincidentally on March 17th. What a weird coincidence, right? We saw St. Patrick's Day, possibly an earlier version of what we think might be the semis here in Gulf Shores. But those are our Final Four, and then we picked TCU to defeat UCLA and even the Stevens series, but most importantly, take the championship. And for those thinking back to what we talked about in the double final, there will not be a double final if that happens here in Gulf Shores. So if TCU gets past UCLA in our final, they each will have one loss against each other, but they will not play a double final. There'll be one duel, and that will be it for the final championship here.
And that will be must-see volleyball if those two teams make it. And obviously, the championship is always must-see. You got to see who's going to take away the title. But USC, after winning it back-to-back years, you can never count them out as well. You got them in the Final Four. Some obvious upset potential in those first-round matchups. It's just going to be fun volleyball, must-see volleyball. Wayne, before we let you go, we've talked to you about the best teams in the country, beach volleyball, the last couple of years. Who, in your opinion, either seeing them firsthand or watching them on, a live stream or TV, who's the best player this year, college beach volleyball, or the best pair, would you say?
Wow, that's such a great question. Boy, who's the best player? I mean, wow. There's so many. I don't even know if I could come up with a best player. I mean, I think I like to think of it this way: like who's the best player? Who gets the most out of what they have? I think in this. I think that you have to look at the Ferrari sisters at Georgia State, right? The way they play. The fact that they really do play most of the games with no blocker, what they do to get the most out of what they have, I think is nothing short of phenomenal. So I'm going to change your question, sir. And I'm going to answer that. I think that the Ferrari sisters are a team that gets the most out of what they have. I think they're an incredible inspiration to juniors. I talk to people every day, and there's a lot of smaller type players, between 5'4" and 5'6" and 5'7" who want to play Division I beach volleyball. They should know who the Ferrari sisters are. They should emulate their game in terms of their effort, their competitiveness. I think what they bring to the game in terms of their effort, their competitiveness, and their grit is nothing short of amazing. And what's perhaps most important about that is it should be, and I think is, an incredible inspiration for a lot of players across the country who want to play beach volleyball in college and in their later years. So they're amazing. I can't say enough about them.
Love it. Had a chance to see them firsthand last year in Huntsville, and I know a 5'5" player that lives just 2 bedrooms down, right down there, that takes note of players like that, or Kristen Nuss at a 5'6", or the Ferrari sisters. Right. Again, like you said, playing sometimes without blocks. But before we let you go, we want to tell you to tell people about really your day job and beach prospects. And if there are players that and parents that are watching that are interested in having you take a look at, video of their daughter, or helping you advise them to, make that step, that obviously a lot of people have questions. What are we supposed to do? Who are we supposed to email? How do people get in contact with you and check out your awesome service?
Yeah, so what we do is we talked about it last time, and that was a great opportunity for us to do it. We're simply advising families. We're consultants who advise a select number of families on the recruiting process and what's it like to apply and where should I be applying and who, what kind of a player I am, and we just help them to see who they should be reaching out to. So they're setting their sights on schools that are, most realistic for them. And we're trying to give them good information. We're trying to rely on our experience and expertise and rules to just give them good information so that they can make this really super important decision, based on information, based on, things that they know, and not, just guessing through the process of groping their way through the mystique of, rules that they don't understand and so forth. So, that's what we do with folks. And we just really are just, the vision of the company is just to help people and elevate the entire level of knowledge about beach volleyball and recruiting. And that's all we're trying to do. And so that's what we did with Beach Analytics. And that's what we're doing with Beach Prospects. So the best idea is just head over to our website, take a look at some of the stuff we have on there. We got a lot of free information for folks. And if you think you want to chat with us, no problem. We love chatting with people. So just shoot us over an email, let us know what your situation is, and we'll hop on a call and talk to you for as long as you want and try to get you heading in the right direction. So it's really as simple as that.
That's awesome. And it's beachprospects.com. Is that the website?
Beachprospects.com. Right. Exactly.
Perfect. Well, good stuff. And I look forward to meeting you in person. We've become, best friends, here the last couple of weeks, sharing our love of beach volleyball. I'll bring my other buddies over, Mike Cassidy, Jason Dowies. These guys all want to meet you and just talk beach volleyball with you. Looking forward to seeing you over there. Thanks, as always. Tremendous job helping us break down the NCAA Beach Volleyball Championships in Gulf Shores. Can't wait for it to unfold starting tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be great, Eric. Thank you. I can't thank you enough for the time. It was awesome chatting with you, and I definitely look forward to seeing you guys and here. And I appreciate the time. All right, enjoy.
You got it. Thanks so much. Time for us to take another break here on Digging It with Eric Richey. When we return, hey, what else is coming up with VSN? Lacrosse Final Four, baseball, high school, state quarterfinals. We're going to tell you what we have on deck for this weekend. Some great content. Again, this show brought to you by Bayou Granite and Marble in Houma. We're back after this.
Since 2000, Bayou Granite has grown to be Southeast Louisiana's largest fabricator of stone countertops. From precise laser measurements to state-of-the-art water jet and CNC machines, we can handle your kitchen and bath needs as well as any commercial projects. Let our expert staff design and customize the right material for your home or business. Stop by our new state-of-the-art fabrication facility and showroom today at 9622 East Main Street, or call us at 985-637-4911. And don't forget to like us on Facebook.
Hi, my name is Will Sermon from St. Charles St. John Parish Farm Bureau. On behalf of my entire staff, I want to wish all the players and coaches the best of luck. Real service, real people.
Time to wrap up another edition of Diggin' It. Before we go, as we do each and every week in this segment, we tell you what's coming up on VSN. Well, it starts with the LHSLL. That's right, the Louisiana High School Lacrosse League Final Four weekend held in Baton Rouge at Catholic High School. Number 4 Newman will take on number 1 Catholic in the first Division I semifinal game, 4 o'clock on Friday. Then at 7 p.m., it's the second semifinal game. Number 3 St. Thomas More taking on number 2 Jesuit. The finals will be on Sunday for Division I, but on Saturday, it's the Division II Lacrosse State Championship between number 3 Holy Cross and top seed St. Thomas More in Division II. High school baseball playoffs going on. Depending on what time you're watching this podcast, Ascension Catholic has probably already played their matchup on VSN. It's a 6 p.m. Thursday start. And then Lutcher, it's a best of 3 in non-select Division II. What a tremendous matchup this will be. Again, games Thursday, Friday, and if necessary in this best of 3, on Saturday. That will do it for another edition of Digging It with Eric Richey. I want to thank our guest, Shawn Weaver and Wayne Hawley, joining them both over in Gulf Shores, getting ready for not only the NCAA National Championships, but of course the Junior USA Volleyball Beachfest, which is a national qualifier. We're going to head over there as well. If you do run into us, if you see us, please come up and say hi, say that you've seen us on the podcast, and we'll continue to try to do our part to grow the game of not only indoor volleyball, but beach volleyball as well. For our director, Shawn, for our director, Justin Thomas, I'm Eric Richey. So long, everyone. Thanks for watching.